does it take for you to be that type of an elite athlete at that level? You know?
It's funny that I'm perceived that way because I just think I'm normal. It's what I do on the normal basis.
James, it's so great to have you here.
Good to be back.
Are obviously one of our favorite patients that we've ever had here, and truly one of the most extraordinary when it comes to some of the physical feats of endurance that you have been able to accomplish like no one else in the world has. You probably get asked this a lot, but some of our patients and prospective patients, what does it take for you to be that type of an elite athlete at that level? You know?
It's funny that I'm perceived that way because I just think I'm normal. It's what I do on the normal basis. But you know, I get this question a lot about how to do these extraordinary things, and a lot of people see the headlines from our journey and assume that I'm just gifted or have this innate ability to manage my mind, which I do, but I don't have a gift that's different than anybody else. I just started simple, and our journey started with a simple 4-mile fun run that I struggled through, and then we slowly build the foundational blocks to where we woke up one day a decade later and had a different belief system that we could do the extraordinary or the impossible.
I just think about our patients that have been kind of stuck in a certain mindset, sometimes months, sometimes years, and it's hard for them to take even that first step, you know? And so to think that you had to have that endurance and the drive to even take those little steps, because I'm sure there are days where you didn't want to take steps forward.
Yeah, for sure.
But to do that, and then to look back 10 years and realize I'm a different person in a different place.
I think that's the misunderstanding, is we are who we are and we can't evolve or change. And that's what I learned by coming here, is the brain is now malleable and you can change. And we literally, the number one question I get as I've traveled around the world is, how do I become more mentally tough? And the only way is through experiences, by taking action and doing. And you can't be more mentally tough by listening to this interview or podcasts or books or movies or whatever it is. You have to go have an experience. And something like this place is an experience that helps people change the way their brain functions and operates, and it's malleable.
You know, I want to ask, what actually led you to reach out to us in the first place? I mean, luckily for you, we're local, right?
Yeah. When I realized that it was local, and in fact, you know my good friend Hayden Thompson.
Of course we do.
Yeah, so Hayden was my full-time therapist leading up to the 2 really big challenges that we did. And in fact, before I did the Conquer 100, I said to Hayden, I said, hey, I won't do this without you. I can't do this without you. And will you be my guy? And he said yes. And so he worked on me every single day after every Ironman we did for a quarter of a year. And then he and my wife started talking and noticing things after several concussions and several big challenges. And he said, hey, I am really close with this facility. I really think you should check it out. And didn't even hesitate, did some real quick research, trusted Hayden, met you, and it was like, done.
And just, you know, Hayden is not just close to our facility. Hayden, we first opened up in Boston in partnership with Tom Brady at TB12. And Hayden was there at TB12. And that's when we actually first met Hayden. And he was one of our first neuromuscular therapists like ever.
Oh, dude, He's
incredible.
I call him the wizard because he really is. He kept me together during those 100 days. And like I said, it was the entire project hinged on whether he was going to be available or not.
Yeah.
We actually moved the project up 6 months because of his availability.
Well, I mean, and he and his wife, I mean, they have lots of kids, and
amazing.
Anyway, he's
Hayden.
Another dad of girls. So
yes, that's true.
Throughout the treatment week that you were here with us, James, was there anything about our approach that actually surprised you, or you thought, why am I doing this?
I mean, on one hand, it seemed super complex. And then when you started doing the treatment, it was so simple. And so I think I was surprised at how simple the approach was. But I was also really frustrated the first few days of treatment. And we had this discussion before this, is like, that's the point. We are pushing you to a limit so that you can break through those barriers. And so I think I was impressed with the complexity of, man, we can fix a brain. And then I was like, oh, but the process is really so simple, but it's the science and the know-how behind it. And so there was this mixed bag of emotions of complexity and simplicity and putting it all together. And it just turns out to be this really cool experience of a week full of highs and lows and breakthroughs and pushing boundaries. And then by the end of it, you just like have this big exhale and almost a feeling of like, I'm back, baby.
And it is that exact feeling that has kept this clinic around for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
We don't spend a ton of money on advertising or anything like that. It's all poured into you, your patient experience, and your ability to share that with other people. And James, we can count, how many people you have influenced to be here and to actually seek that change for themselves. And I know you and I both know for a fact someone close to both of us that is experiencing that right now. And just thank you personally for
for sure
for this.
I shout it from the rooftops because I get on again. I speak. That's my career. I get on stages, and the big question during Q&A is always what's next. I go into an answer of I couldn't do a what's next because my brain was broken, and just from the concussions and the trauma and the strength of our brains protecting us from trauma and whatnot, and then realizing. And so really I explained to people what was next for me was healing myself. Yeah. So that I could go on and live life in a big way. And so it's been a huge part of my journey because everybody follows the lead up and the excitement of the actual thing that they're doing. When as soon as you finish, they tune into the next shiny object. Mm-hmm. And man, the 3 years following that last adventure was probably harder than the actual 100 Ironmans because you feel broken, you get filled with anxiety and depression, there's confusion and disorientation and brain fog. And my job again is to be on stage and sound intelligent and quick responses. And I was just so fatigued that I would get on stage and I could do it, but I was completely wiped out. And so I'm extremely grateful for the treatment and everything because now I can get on stage multiple times a day and I can do it back-to-back times and function at a really high level. And I don't know, it was really scary not knowing where my career was going to go. And man, I've been as busy as ever and thriving as ever, and I feel as sharp as ever.
I love how you mentioned how you needed that rest period as well. Because when you're here with us and our patients are here with us, we push you cognitively, it's
exhausting.
That. But then we also teach you that there's therapeutic rest and the importance of the perseverance and the pushing, but also that rest piece. Maybe can you talk a bit about how you incorporate some of that into your daily life? I mean, do you schedule in some?
Oh man, we prioritize rest and recovery. I have found that if I don't prioritize my sleep to get that recovery, mind, body, soul, it's hard for me to function. It's completely draining. And I perform at a super high level. In fact, we coach athletes around the world and our philosophy is stress, optimize, adapt, recover. How high can you soar, right? Mm-hmm. And recovery is the most important piece of that because you can stress your body, but if you continue to stress without the recovery piece, it leads to burnout and fatigue and all the other things that come with it. And so, man, that recovery piece to it, not only for yourself physically, but to reset mentally so you can have that same charge and motivation and get up and go and perform at that high level. So there is nothing more important than sleep, good food, recovery, all the things that are readily available to us in the United States for sure.
And it's interesting that you say that too, because a lot of our patients do come from out of country, and I just think it's your athleticism supersedes our country's boundaries, and people have heard about you all over the world, but I just love how you have not been afraid to talk about the concussions. I think what makes you so relatable is that people see you as this like Superman almost, but you almost talk just as much about the downs as you do the highs. Well, tell me about that.
Yeah, and I think the other really good thing that came from that is I gained more empathy and compassion for others that are struggling. Because I was performing at such a high level for such a long time, I did feel invincible and like Superman and nothing could happen. And then I had this massive drop off because of the brain trauma and the concussions and the brain's power in protecting you. And then you come out of a big project and man, it is a steep slope down. And so I think my struggle or the downfall was actually a massive blessing for me to be able to be more empathetic in my coaching and understanding what people are experiencing. And so it's been massively beneficial to experience those highs and lows. And I think it's important to talk about that, especially as men. Because men, girls, I got 4 daughters and 3 sisters, and you guys are overwhelming me with chitty chatty and talking emotions and all this stuff. But men, we're just expected to always be good and always be okay, but we're struggling just like everybody else. And I think it's important to be vulnerable and talk about those things.
So with all the experience that you've had, the elite athleticism, the brain injuries, the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and then of course coming here and seeing the success here that has helped set you up for even more success and more to come. What is maybe one key or a couple key takeaways that you might be able to give to not only our patients, but potential prospective patients that are maybe undecided or looking to come?
Yeah, I think just like with our physical journey, we show up at a level or capacity that where our thought process is or what we believe is possible. And then we achieve that and we break through. And so it's this constant evolution of growth. And I firmly believe the purpose of life is to continually chase down the ultimate version of ourselves. We're never going to catch them, but at the end of the line, I want to be able to say, man, I did everything I did to catch you. And I think that's the same way with this treatment. It's always evolving and changing and growing. And just like with our physical selves, we have to do the work all the time to grow. And there's always new ways to train and nutrition and recovery. And same thing with our brain. You guys are always coming up with new and ever-changing and evolving ways to become better and better and more powerful. And so I would just say to anybody, anything that is worth doing is going to be scary. Anything that's going to be transformational is going to come with some hesitation or doubt. And it's just, man, there's just so many people and testimonials now. You guys are proven, like this stuff works. And so I would just say, yeah, absolutely. Don't hesitate. Biggest thing to do in life is to take action. So go now, do.
Go now, do. I love it. Speaking of, we'd love to have you come in. It's been a few years since you've had a scan. Speaking of growing and evolving, our scan has grown and evolved.
Oh, cool.
We're not just looking at brain region response, which is what we did with you, but now we're looking at connectivity between regions. And so, I mean, we'd love to see your brain now and kind of see where you're at. And, I know that you always have another project in the works and then other things happening. So if we can be of any help there and getting your brain prepped for that, we'd love to be a part of that too.
I think that'd be amazing, because the first time I came here and went through the treatment, it kind of was a reset for me. Mm-hmm. And now I want to see what's possible and what we can evolve to do. And I think what people need to understand here too also is this isn't just an opportunity for people to come in and fix from past traumas and accidents and things like that. Once you do that, there's now further opportunity to advance and progress in what we believe is possible for us to do and function. And I'm always trying to figure out how to be superhuman. And so I'd love to come back
You're
in
already
and
there, but even
another
more so.
level, right? It's always evolving and changing what we believe our definition of superhuman is. And so that'd be super kind and super generous to be able to come, and the opportunity that I'd love to do it.
It's like that O in your SOAR. It's that optimization piece. Because yes, we had you treated before. Now let's see how we can even further optimize your brain, because that's what we're really hoping for, right? I mean, we're the same age, our kids about the same age, and we're getting to that point where we're like, okay, we're going to be empty nesters soon.
I know.
Now what, Well,
and I was talking outside of this interview that I don't want to slowly decline into my 70s. I'd love to be the first person to be a centurion, to do an Ironman. And to me, that means paying attention to every facet, mind, body, spirit, soul, brain, to optimize what you're doing. I want to live a high quality of life into being a centurion, not the slippery slope and end my life in diapers like I started it. So I just want to have that high quality of life. And you got to tap into everything. And that's really managing and pushing the boundaries of our brains.
Well, I love the example and the inspiration that you've been to not only me, but to our patients and to the world. For those who are just meeting you for the first time here, which to me is a little crazy, but for those who are, how can someone follow your journey? What's the best way for them to?
Yeah, we always update our website. Everything is at ironcowboy.com. We're most active on social media on Instagram, and it's Iron Cowboy James. If you want to email us, contact us, james@ironcowboy.com. We answer everything. We do it. And we love to help, and we love to inspire, and we love to help people get and find the best version of who they are.
Wonderful. Thank you so much,
Thank
James.
you.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.